Okay, so let us continue our discussion, and it's the second lecture of GST. Now, yesterday we discussed very briefly about different acts of GST, CGST Act, SGST Act, UTGST Act, IGST Act. On intra-state supplies, we have CGST plus SGST or UTGST as the case may be. On interstate supplies, we have IGST. Now let me start with the concept of levy and collection. So let me share my screen with you. I hope the screen is clearly visible to you. So the topic which we are starting now, technically now we are starting today GST, it is levy and collection of tax. This is my first topic, where we will discuss in a technical terms, not in a layman terms, but as an expert, levy and collection of tax. It's a topic, levy and collection, because it is the foundation. Until unless I know that which taxes are imposed, when these are imposed, who has to pay, what is the rate, I cannot do anything of GST. Levy and collection of tax. Now there are four different types of GSTs: CGST, IGST, SGST, UTGST. These two are not in our course, but if I attempt or if I do CGST, then these both the acts are same, just like CGST. The only difference is in CGST, wherever the word central is written, in SGST you will find the word central replaced by the name of that state. In UTGST you will find the word central replaced by the word union territory. Otherwise these two are exactly same as like CGST. So we will not do these SGST and UTGST, and these are not in the course of any level, only CGST. IGST is in our course, but in fact even in IGST 90% of CGST is as it is applicable. So 90% provisions which are applicable for CGST, the same provisions are applicable for IGST also, and that is why CGST Act is lengthiest as compared to other acts of GST. CGST Act is in around 123 pages. IGST is in around it's around in only 25 pages, 25 or 26 pages, because 90% provisions of CGST Act are as it is applied in IGST. But still we have to do both the acts, CGST Act and IGST Act, and not complete. I will tell you the provisions which are in our course. So my first provision which is in our course is levy and collection of tax. When I say tax, do you know what do I mean by this tax? What do I mean by this tax? When I talk about CGST, it will become central tax. So it depends which act I am reading. When I talk about IGST, it will become integrated tax. When I read SGST, it will become state tax. And when I talk about Union Territories GST Act, it will become Union Territory tax. That's it. So this tax depends which act you are reading. Central tax means CGST. Integrated tax means IGST. State tax means SGST. And Union Territory means tax means UTGST. So it depends. So this topic is same in all the acts. The words will be different. That's it. Now, next. When I'm saying that I am discussing levy and collection, Technically, what it means, when the tax has to be levied and how it is to be collected. So this is defined in section 9 of the CGST. We don't follow very that approach where directly I will tell you, simply I will tell you the points. In that cases, you don't learn anything. When I simply start telling you what is written, then you have not learned anything. You have simply believed in that case that what the teacher is saying to you. So that is not the objective of higher education. I will show you the language of the act, how I am interpreting that act, so that you can interpret in your own sense. My purpose is not to teach like a tuition where I will simply tell you and you will simply start learning. That is not the purpose. So levy and collection. You must know. It is not levy and collected, levy and collection. Section 9 of CGST and or not and or section 5 of IGST. Because we have to do both the acts. So whatever is section 9, levy and collection, the same thing is section 5, only the conceptual difference will be there, only the conceptual difference. Now let me share with you CGST Act and then I will show you what this section says. So let me share with you a file of CGST Act. Can you see this file? I hope the file is visible and as well as the font size. In case it is not visible, then only inform. Otherwise, I will assume that you can see this file. Now, this is my act. As you can see, it is 103 pages. Name of this act is Central Goods and Services Tax Act. Now, what I would like to tell you, in every act, there are chapters. Within chapters, we have sections. Within sections, we have subsections, clauses, subclauses, items, sub-items, paragraph, explanation. So many things are there. So gradually we will learn these things. So I'm not discussing for the time being chapter 1. Let me come to directly chapter 3, which is relevant. The heading of chapter 3 of the CGST Act 2017 is what? Levy and collection. As you can see, it is chapter 3, levy and collection of tax. So which tax? Since I'm reading CGST Act, that means this tax is nothing but CGST or central tax. Anything you can say, central tax or CGST, that's it. This chapter 3 of CGST Act, this chapter, entire chapter, it is in our course and there are 5 sections in this. My first section of this chapter is section 7. And how do you know that what section 7 talks about? Always on the right side, you will find the relevance of that section or the topic of that section, what that section talks about. So the right side highlighted text, you can see it is scope of supply. It tells you the meaning of supply, because in GST, until unless something is supply means sale, there cannot be any GST. Until unless you sell anything, there cannot be GST. Now, sell word is not used in GST laws. We are using the word supply. Section 7 tells you the meaning of supply. It tells you what is this supply. Then section 8, as you can see, the heading of section 8, tax liability on composite and mixed supplies. Tax liability on composite and mixed supplies. So these also I will tell you later on. There are 2 types of supplies here, composite supply, mixed supply. In that case, how do you check or how do you calculate the GST liability? Section 9, the heading is what? Levy and collection. This is the founding section, you can say. Until unless you know section 9, you cannot attempt the questions logically. It tells me how this tax is to be levied and how it will be collected by the government of India. Section 10, composition levy. I hope under Income Tax Act you remember the scheme of presumptive taxation. There were 3 sections of presumptive taxation under the topic PGBP in Income Tax Act 1961, section 44 AD, 44 ADA and 44 AE. If you remember, these 3 are my presumptive taxation sections where procedures are simplified if I opt for presumptive taxation. Same is the case here. In case of composition levy, GST procedures are simplified. So any person who don't want to go into the complexity of GST, that person, if eligible, can opt for composition levy scheme. So it is like presumptive taxation of Income Tax Act, composition levy. And 11th section is exemption. Under Income Tax Act, all the exemptions are written in section 10 of the Income Tax Act 1961. Under GST laws, it is written in section 11 of the CGST Act. Power to grant exemption from tax. So this tax is what? Central tax. That's it. And then a new chapter starts from section 12. So that I'm not discussing right now. So that means in this discussion, I'm going to discuss with you the topic of levy and collection. It is chapter 3 of the CGST Act. And there are 5 sections in this chapter, section 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Out of these 5 sections, let me first discuss with you section 9 and let me show you the language. So this is my first discussion with you, section 9, levy and collection. What it says now. Section 9, subsection 1. You can see the language. Subject to the provisions of subsection 2. What do you mean by this word? This sentence, subject to the provisions of subsection 2? It means that section 9 subsection is not supreme than section 9 subsection 2. Subject to the provision, that means subsection 2 of section 9 is supreme than subsection 1 of section 9. I cannot bypass, when I read section 9 subsection 1, I cannot bypass section 9 subsection 2. This is the meaning of this sentence, subject to the provisions of subsection 2. So subsection 2 is supreme than 9(1). Then there shall be levied a tax called Central Goods and Central Goods and Services Tax. So there will be a tax, central tax, on all intrastate supply. Now this is the first time when I have shown you the act where the word intrastate is used. So on all intrastate supplies of goods or services or both, there will be a central tax. Except, but in one case, even if there is intrastate supply, there will be no central tax. What is that case? Except on the supply of alcoholic liquor for human consumption. Except on selling alcohol, on all intrastate supplies, there will be GST. On the value, now then, on which value there will be GST? On the value determined under section 15. So which act I am reading? CGST Act. So by default, this section 15 is of which act? CGST Act. So you have to check that value which you will compute as per section 15. In the last class, I gave you an example where the laptop was purchased by me for rupees 1 lakh. So that was easy to tell you that it was of 1 lakh. But in reality, that value has to be determined as per section 15. And the next question, at such rate, so the question is at what rate it will be taxable? At such rate, not exceeding 20%, as may be notified by the government on the recommendations of the council. So the maximum rate of central tax can never exceed 20%. And those rates will be notified by the council and collected in such manner, and those taxes will be collected in such manner as may be prescribed. Prescribed means what? Rules. In income tax also, we have income tax rules 1962. In GST also, we have Central Goods and Services Tax rules 2017. So the rules will tell me the process, how the tax will be calculated, which returns are to be filed, what is the procedure of filing the return, when you should submit that return, in which form the return will be submitted, etc., etc. And collected in such manner as may be prescribed and shall be paid. Now, who will pay this tax to the government? Shall be paid by the taxable person. So, who will pay? Taxable person. Now, if I'm a purchaser of laptop, I purchased this laptop, for example, from Mr. X. So, who will pay this tax to the government of India? I will pay to whom? Mr. X. And whose obligation is this to pay tax to the government? Not mine. I have paid to my supplier from whom I have purchased the laptop. This person is responsible to pay this 18,000 of tax in my example, 18,000 tax to the government of India. So this Mr. X is whom? Taxable person. Mr. X has to pay this tax or deposit this tax with the government of India. This is what 9(1) is. So I can say that on all intrastate supplies of goods or services or both, except only one item in India, alcoholic liquor for human consumption, there will be CGST by default without any doubt and discussion. Value you have to determine as per section 15. Rates, the government will tell through notifications that on this product how much is the rate, and this is how the tax has to be collected by the government from different parties. Now, why alcoholic liquor for human consumption is not yet included? Because alcoholic liquor on human consumption, on these, the tax is totally the responsibility of state government. Entire tax on alcoholic liquor, the entire revenue goes to the state government. And state government earns heavy revenue because of this alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So that is why the state governments have not yet agreed whether they should brought this only one item which is left out of GST in the purview of GST or not. Because in India, consumption of liquor is very high. And the state government gets heavy revenue. In lockdown also, when all the industries were down, shops were down, no one was working, the GST revenue of every state was very, very less. It was not possible to meet the expenses also. And that time, the states decided to open liquor shops. When entire nation was locked down, people were at their home, governments opened the liquor shops. Why? Because they didn't have the money. And it showed that people can survive without liquor, but not the governments. In the lockdown, if you have seen the videos, there were so many videos of during the lockdown also, maybe in the month of June or May, I don't know. I think it was in June or maybe closing May, where shopkeepers were giving gifts to the people who were standing outside their liquor shop to purchase the liquor. There were queues starting from the night when the shop was going to open at 10 a.m. in the morning. So this was the situation of those liquor shops. So governments got huge revenue because of those opening of liquor shops. Anyhow, the purpose is alcoholic liquor for the time being is out of GST. This is my section 9(1).
Sir, one doubt.
Yes.
So you mentioned that 20% is tax rate for central government, right? The 20% tax rate is the maximum tax limit for the central government, right? So my question is, sir, is it the 50% of the total tax, or is it the 100% of the GST which is taken by the central?
We are reading which act? We are reading. Yeah, I understand your question. Now we are reading which act? You first tell me. It is CGST Act.
Yes. Okay, so fine.
So that means it is only central tax. Now, if on any product the central tax share is 18% by default, state government will also get the 18%. So effectively, the total tax becomes 36%.
Okay.
Point clear?
Yes, sir.
And if it is IGST, then IGST, this act is not applicable. For IGST, I will check the IGST Act. Shall I proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this was 9(1). Now 9(2). The central tax on the supply of petroleum crude, high-speed diesel, motor spirit, commonly known as petrol, natural gas and ATF, aviation turbine fuel, which is used in aircrafts, shall be levied with effect from such date as may be notified by the government on the recommendations of the council. On these 5 petroleum products also, these are within GST, but the date of GST is not yet finalized. Alcoholic liquor for human consumption is permanently excluded from GST till today. It is permanently excluded. Government has to amend so many things if they want to bring alcoholic liquor for human consumption within the purview of GST. But these 5 petroleum products are within GST, but from which date there will be GST on these products, that is not yet finalized. So till we finalize that date, still on sale of these petroleum products, old indirect tax regime is going on, excise, VAT, CST, central sale tax, etc. But these are within GST. Date of applicability of GST is not yet finalized because on the sale of these petroleum products also, there is a huge revenue which comes to the governments. So this is also pending, that the date will be finalized later on. I hope section 9 subsection 1 and 9 subsection 2 are clear. Now normally what happens? When I am purchasing a laptop, I am a consumer, when I am purchasing a laptop from Mr. X, who pays tax to the government? I don't pay to the government, I pay to my supplier Mr. X, Mr. X pays to the government of India. That is known as forward charge. Forward charge means wherever who is the supplier, that person deposits tax with the government of India. But there are some situations where there is a reverse charge. As the name suggests, reverse charge, that means in this case, the person who is purchasing the product or the person who is availing the services, that person himself has to pay tax directly to the government of India. So that is known as reverse charge, and that is defined in section 9 subsection 3. What is this 9.3? Now read it. The government may on the recommendations of the council. Now what is this council? We are using this word council. It is GST council, where union finance minister is the chairman, and we have the state finance ministers or the bureaucrats, members of this GST council, where they sit and frame the decision. That is GST council. The government may, on the recommendations of the council by notification, specify categories of supply of goods or services or both, the tax on which shall be paid on reverse charge basis by the recipient of such goods or services or both. That's it. Read first 3 lines only. So government under section 9 subsection 3 has a right where government will tell that on these supplies, not only every supply, in exceptional cases. So those exceptional cases means government will tell that when these products will be sold, when these services will be supplied, then supplier will not pay GST to us. Recipient himself or herself will pay GST to us. This is section 9 subsection 3. And all the provisions, now continue the third line, and all the provisions of this act shall apply to such a recipient as if he is the person liable for paying the tax in relation to the supply of goods and services or both. And this recipient cannot say that I will not pay. Government says no, you are responsible to pay the tax, and if you don't pay the tax on time, then there will be penalty and prosecutions against you as per the provisions of this act. So this is my reverse charge case where recipient himself or herself has to pay the tax, but not on every supply, only in exceptional cases. Government says we will tell that in which cases, when which products or services will be supplied, the charge is on reverse charge base. The tax is to be paid on reverse charge basis. It is 9.3. Now 9.4. 9.4. Now before reading 9.4, I would like to raise one point. Ignore the books. Ignore the books. In fact, you are reading the original act. Still, can you say that what you are reading is 100% correct? Answer is no. Because you are reading the original act, you do not know whether any amendment has been done in this act or not. Even acts can be wrong. There can be mistakes in the language written in the act. Anyone can commit a mistake. It's not a problem. Every human being can commit a mistake. So the people who have framed this act, who have written this act, it is possible that there have been some confusion, or there is a problem in the language of the act which is not acceptable, or it is also possible that the language is correct but government wanted to amend something. So whenever you need a change in the act, that has to be done only with the help of new act. Change in the act is only possible through new act. No notification etc. can change the language of the act. Whatever word is written in the act, that can be replaced or changed with the help of new act, and that is why under income tax act also, whenever amendment is to be done, always they take the help of finance act every year. So if I have not seen whether there has been amendment in the act or not, that means whatever knowledge I am getting is irrelevant or not complete. Let me show you with a new file. This act, CGST Act 17, got amended in 2018, and this subsection was entirely replaced. So always whenever you read any act, check carefully, has there any amendment been done in this act or not. If not, then what you're reading is fine. If yes, amendment is there, then read that amendment first. So let me share with you a new file where I will discuss the file of CGST Amendment Act. Now this is the new file. I hope it is visible now. And you can see the name of this file. It is the Central Goods and Services Tax Amendment Act. After around 1.5 years, this act came. GST came into India on 1st July 17, and this act came on 30th August 2018. This act made so many changes in the original act. As you can see, this act may be called the Central Goods and Services Tax Amendment Act. Now, section 2 of this act says what? How do you read it? It is my section 2 of the CGST Amendment Act. What it says? In section 2 of the Central Goods and Services Tax Act. So section 2 of Amendment Act is making some changes in section 2 of original act. I hope the point is clear. I am reading section 2 of this act. This act is CGST Amendment Act. Coincidentally, this section 2 is also changing section 2 of the original act. Otherwise, it is not necessary that if this is section 2, the change will also happen only in section 2. It can be any section. But coincidentally, section 2 of the CGST Amendment Act is making the changes in section 2 of the original act. Now what it says, hereinafter referred to as the Principal Act. But for the purpose of simplification, the act uses that in the later portion of this act, we will not use the word Central Goods and Services Tax Act 17, we will use the word Principal Act, just for simplification, that's it. So wherever in this act Principal Act is written, that means it is CGST Act 2017. So many changes were there. The main change was also what? I told you yesterday that Central Board of Excise and Customs was the old name. In this act, this name was changed from Central Board of Excise and Customs to Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. This is first change. But let me not show you all the things. Let me show you what my section 9.4 is. See carefully what it says. See this word. Section 4 of the Amendment Act. What it says, in section 9 of the Principal Act, for subsection 4, the following subsections shall be substituted, namely. So my entire subsection 4 of section 9, which was there in the original act, is not applicable. It got replaced with new section, not section, subsection. Now this is the new language. So the purpose of this was to show you that when you read any original act, don't assume that this act is correct. Carefully see whether any amendment act has also been there or not. If not, then you go by the language of the act. So let me read this subsection 4 for you, or you also try to read it. Read it carefully. Try to read it. The government may, on the recommendations of the council by notification, specify a class of registered persons. It's a new language. A class of registered persons who shall, in respect of supply of specified categories of goods or services or both received from an unregistered supplier, pay the tax on reverse charge basis as the recipient of supply of goods or services or both. This is also a reverse charge section. So there are two subsections which deals with reverse charge cases, 9.3 and 9.4. What was written in 9.3? In 9.3 it was written that government will tell by name which supplies are subject to reverse charge. That when these supplies will happen, tax will be paid on reverse charge. What is the difference in 9.3 and 9.4? In 9.4, government will tell me two things. Government will tell me the name of the supply of goods or services on which there is a reverse charge, and also the government will tell me those recipient who will be those recipients who have to pay tax on reverse charge. In 9.3 there is only one thing which government will tell. It does not matter who the recipient is. It does not matter who the supplier is. In 9.3 government will tell that whenever this supply happens, for example supply of product X, whenever supply of product X happens, tax has to be paid by the recipient. That's it. This is what 9.3 is. Now in 9.4 government will tell what? Two things. For example, supply of product K. K is the name of the product. As well as what government will tell? Who is this recipient? This recipient is an individual, firm, company, local authority, or so many different names are also there. OIDAR, electronic commerce operator, etc. etc. So government in 9.4 will tell me two things: name of that supply, name of the product or name of the service, as well as who is that recipient. Government will also tell me these two things. Then also I am covered under reverse charge cases under section 9 subsection 4. Please raise your hand if the difference in 9.3 and 9.4 is clear. If not clear, you can ask me, otherwise please raise your hand. Harry, please raise your hand if the concept is clear. In 9.3 government will tell me what? Only the name of that supply, which product or which service. In 9.4 government will tell me two things: not only the name of the supply, government will also tell me that who is this recipient. Then my case is covered in 9.3 and 9.4. Now last subsection. So I'm coming back to my original act now. I simply wanted to show you that how you will read in future. Whenever you have to read any act, always check amendments also. So let me close it, and let me first discuss what I have done for the time being. Let me simplify that language now. After showing you the original act, let me simplify it. So what I have done in 9.1. So if you remember what I have done in 9.1. If I do not write the act, by default you have to assume that this act is CGST. If I only write any section, by default you have to assume that I am talking about only CGST act. Now what was there in 9.1? First point within 9.1. Have you noticed those points? That if there is intrastate supply, always the tax will be what? CGST. Then, so this word was new, intrastate. Always the tax is CGST. I can also call it as central tax. The next point was on which value this tax should be imposed. So that value is what? That value you have to determine as per which section? 15. If I'm not writing the act, by default section 15 is of CGST act. Then what? It is to be paid by whom? Tax is to be paid by whom? Taxable person. This was the language used. Tax has to be paid by whom? Paid means I'm not talking about when a purchaser will pay. If I'm using about paid, then it is government's point of view that government will get the tax from whom? Government will get from whom? So it is whose responsibility to deposit the tax to the government? Taxable person. And what is the rate? The rates of central tax is maximum 20%. So I can say 0, there is no limit on minimum, till 20 maximum. This is what section 9(1). Now in all the States Act and UT GST Acts also, the same topic will be there. Section number can change. The same topic will be there. So they also will use the same thing. If you read the Delhi Act, they will, rather than using central tax, they will use the word Delhi's GST. Rates also same, because I'm only talking about center's share here. In reality, if the rate is 18%, as one student has asked also, if the rate is of 18% CGST, by default, you have to add 18% of state or UT as the case may be. So total, effectively total becomes 36. It is only center's share. I'm talking about only central government's point of view. Equal share is of the state and UT also. But states and UT GST are not in our course. Now, we are reading two acts simultaneously basically. If you read in IGST, do you know what will change? Rather than intra, in IGST the word will be what? Otherwise everything will be same. Inter. Rather than central, the word will be what? Integrated. Otherwise every language word to word is same. That is why CGST is considered as the main act. If you know CGST, you means everything you know as far as GST is concerned. Value remains same, paid remains same, rate rather than 20, do you know it will become what? Maximum 40. That's it. And this is rather than section 9(1) in IGST, it becomes what? 5(1). This is the only change. So there is no difference in CGST and IGST also, except in some cases. But in this case, this is the main change. In rather than intra, the word will be inter. If the rate here is maximum 20 in IGST, by default the rate here will be maximum 40. Value of the product remains same, because if you start changing the value also, then you cannot impose the taxes. So value remains same irrespective of any act. Paid remains same, paid by the taxable person. That's it. This is what my 9(1) and 5(1) which I have covered with you. I hope the point is clear. If you have any problem, you can ask me. Otherwise, I'm proceeding to the next point now. Oh, in this one point was left. On which product there is no GST? Alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So one thing is left. Alcoholic. This is how you simplify when you read yourself. Liquor for human consumption. Except this product, all the products or services in intra are subject to GST, provided those are goods or services. I hope the point is clear. Now, next what I have done. If you remember, my next section was 9(2). Whatever is 9(2) here, do you know it will be 5(2) in IGST? Answer is yes. In 5 petroleum products. GST is applicable, but date of GST is not yet finalized. So till we finalize the date, the old regime is continuing on the sale of these petroleum products. Date of applicability. GST is yet to be finalized. And so till the date is finalized, currently what is happening? Old indirect tax regime is going on. Old means still we have VAT, excise, CST. What was 9.3? Reverse charge. 9.3 is also reverse charge. 9.4 is also the situation of reverse charge. But there are two differences. Not two differences. There is a difference in 9.3 and 9.4. So what happens in 9.3? Section 9.3, and what happens in 9.4? In 9.3, government will tell me what? Name of supply. Which is that supply? Cashew nuts, tendu leaves, BD wrappers, etc. I will tell you those later on. Government will tell that if these products are supplied, there will be a tax on reverse charge basis, and under reverse charge, who pay the tax? If Mr. X and Mr. Y. What is forward charge, where Mr. X pay the tax? And what is reverse charge, where recipient pay the tax? So 9.1, all cases are covered under 9.1 forward charge, but 9.3 and 9.4 are covered under reverse charge, and 9.2, these five petroleum products, still we don't have any GST, so there is no benefit of doing debating that. Now in 9.4, government will tell me what? Name of supply as well as plus who is this recipient. Government will tell that this should be the recipient. If these two conditions are there, then the reverse charge under section 9.4. If only name of supply is there, then reverse charge under section 9.3. Please raise your hand if the discussion till this point is clear. Then I'll proceed to my last subsection of 9, and then we will wind up the lecture. Do you have 10 more minutes? Please tell, otherwise I will wind up now. Do you have 10 more minutes to wait or no? Without any hesitation, please tell. अरे बोलो भाई, 10 मिनट रुक सकते हो या नहीं? Sushant, your voice is not coming. Any other can tell? Your voice is not coming, Sushant. Any other? सबके माइक खराब है क्या?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any other class at 4?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so please wait for 10 minutes. Let us wind up this section 9. So let me again share with you the act and last point, 9.5. Then levy and collection section 9 of CGST and section 5 of IGST will be over. Now this is my 9.5, last subsection. The government may, on the recommendations of the council by notification, specify categories of services. If you remember, in section 9.1, 3 and 4, subsection 9.1, 3 and 4, goods or services or both word was used, sentence was used. But in 9.5, the word used is services only, not goods. So 9.5 is applicable on services. The tax on intrastate supplies of which shall be paid by the electronic commerce operator. So in some cases, who will pay the tax? Neither the supplier nor the recipient, but the mediator, who is electronic commerce operator like Flipkart, Amazon, Snapdeal. These operators will pay. When I purchase anything from Amazon or Flipkart, Amazon is not the supplier, Flipkart is not the supplier, they are only providing a platform. Recipient is, I am the recipient, supplier may be some company. But I am purchasing through electronic commerce operator like Flipkart. So here supplier will not pay the tax. it is Flipkart's responsibility to pay the tax. So the government may, on the recommendation of the council by notification, specify categories of services, but not on all services. On some services which government will tell, the tax on intrastate supplies of which shall be paid by the electronic commerce operator if such services are supplied through it. And all the provisions of this act shall apply to such electronic commerce operator as if he is the supplier liable for paying the tax. So ECO cannot say that no, it's not my job. Government says no. If you are supplying these services from your platform, you will be treated as the person who is liable to pay tax to us. If you do not pay, then you have to be dealt with as per the provisions of law. Provided, now so many these websites, it's not possible that those are within India. I can operate the website by sitting in any foreign country also. In that case, what happens? Government says provided. What do I mean by provided? That means exception. Provided means it is my first exception of this subsection. It says where an electronic commerce operator does not have a physical presence. For example, Flipkart says that we don't have any physical presence here. We are in USA. We are sitting in USA. Government says no issue. If you don't have a physical presence in the taxable territory, now it's a new word, taxable territory. I will discuss that later on. For the time being, you assume that India is the taxable territory. If any website or any electronic commerce operator says that I don't have any physical presence, the government says no issue. Any person representing such electronic commerce operator for any purpose in the taxable territory shall be liable to pay the tax. Suppose you have appointed any person, or even if electronic commerce operator has not appointed any person, but there is any person who is representing this Flipkart in India in any court cases or etc for any purpose, then this person become liable to pay tax. Provided further. Now suppose this electronic commerce operator this says that we don't have any person who represent us. Government says no issue, appoint then any person specially. It is provided further. Provided further means second exception. That is why the word used is provided further. After second exception, for third exception, they will use the word provided also. So it is provided further. Provided further where an electronic commerce operator does not have a physical presence in the taxable territory. Suppose I don't have any physical presence territory, and also he does not have a representative in the said territory, and I don't have any representative. Government says no issue. Such electronic commerce operator has to appoint a person in the taxable territory for the purpose of paying tax, and such person shall be liable to pay tax. So appoint a person specially who will deposit the tax GST with us on time. This is what government says. Because in ECO cases, electronic commerce operator cases, it is just like TDS provision. Under Income Tax Act, what is the benefit of TDS? What is the purpose of TDS? That rather than taking care of so many people, just grab that chain or that person who is distributing the amount. So rather than asking from those recipients to pay the tax, let us first grab this person who is distributing the amount so that we can get the tax. Here also the same thing happen. Flipkart is one, but there may be 2 crore suppliers who are supplying the product through Flipkart. So rather than tracing 2 crore people, it becomes very easy to trace one electronic commerce operator. This is what the point is in putting the responsibility on electronic commerce operator. But for the time being, government has given this or put this responsibility only for services and not for all the services which are supplied through electronic commerce operator. I will tell you those services which, if supplied through electronic commerce operator, simple example is Ola cabs, Ola, Uber, etc. Those are the services which are covered under 9(5). I will show you the notifications later on. So whenever you travel through Ola, always see that they will charge CGST and SGST or IGST as the case may be. Always check your slip. Under section 9, subsection 5, they are charging it. Anyhow, so this is what my first topic, levy and collection, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. Let me show you IGST Act, and then let me show you the same language is written so that you know that if you do CGST, by default you are doing every other act of GST. Let me show IGST, where I will show you the same language used. Section name is number is different, and that is, of course, that can happen. Can you see this IGST Act? Of course, I think you can see it now. So I'm assuming that you can see it. If you cannot see, then you can inform. Otherwise, I'm assuming that you can see this. It is Integrated Goods and Services Tax Act. And see, everything is same as it is just like CGST except some technical changes. This is also chapter 3 levy and collection, and the section is section 5. Otherwise, same thing. The only difference is what? Rather than intra, the word used is inter. I hope you can see my highlighted text, interstate. Rather than 20%, here the tax rate becomes maximum 40 because equal share will be of the state and UT also. And in 9.3 and 9.4 also, rather than intra or not intra word is there in 9.5. In 9.5 there was a word intrastate, and now in 5.5 because I'm reading IGST Act, the word is interstate. Otherwise everything is as it is, same word to word same. So this is the discussion which I have done for levy and collection. Let me sum up the discussion for today's lecture. So today we have completed our first topic, levy and collection of both the acts, CGST Act. We have to do these both acts, IGST Act. The only difference is here it is section 9 and here it is section 5. This is one change. Otherwise, those 5 petroleum products same here and those 5 petros same here. Value is same as determined as per section 15. Same value as determined in section 15, no change. Rates can vary 0% to 20%. Here it is 0 to 40. So you will start feeling after some time that yes, CGST Act is the supreme act, all other are similar. So after some time you will find that there is no need to read the other acts. But in the initial phases, it is my job to make sure that you know that what I am telling is exactly true. Alcoholic liquor excluded here. Alcoholic liquor only for human consumption. If alcohol is used for medicinal etc., then it is subject to GST. Only for human consumption it is excluded. Here also GST is to be paid by taxable person. Here also GST to be paid by taxable person. Same thing on reverse charge. Same thing on reverse charge. And our 8th is what? Electronic commerce operator only for some services, which I will tell you in the next class. Electronic commerce operator only for these services. Now here it is intrastate. This is also a change. And here it is interstate. That's it. So I have discussed with you the original language of the act. I showed you that by reading the act only, you cannot say that you know everything. You must carefully check amendments. Now in the next class, I will show you these notifications which are issued under section 9.1 and 5.1 and how the language of the notification comes. How in real life the practice or cases are to be dealt in the courts of law. That's all from my side for today. I hope the concept is clear. Please raise your hand if the concept is clear. Very good. I hope you will also find some time in reading the study material, and rather than books, I would advise you go through the act. I have shown you the website links also. Go through the act. Read those original languages to be an expert, or at least to be a person who is different from others. Otherwise, at most of the places, the students are trained just read from the books, just to read from the books. Reading books is It's a good option, of course, but you must know the original language first. That's all from my side, and goodbye. And let me have your attendance now.